Another coin. Another coin. Yet another coin. That's a dime. Okay, well, obviously the metal detector is working. This is in my driveway. When you have young adults running around, they drop money left and right in the driveways. So sometimes it's a good idea just to search your own stinking driveway for coins. This is my very first metal detector I bought when I was in my 20s. It's a 1980s model. Back in the day, this thing cost me $800. Today's dollar bill, that would be about $2,525, according to Google. So this thing's been sitting in my barn for over 20 years. I thought it was broke. Didn't work. It has broke on me once before, and I sent it off to White's many years ago. They fixed it immediately, sent it back to me. I've had to replace the battery in the back and all that good stuff. Well, it quit working on me again. For many years, I thought this metal detector was broke, and I'd actually thrown it in the trash bin at one point while I was cleaning out the barn. So I did some testing on it, and as you can tell, I've got this thing up and running again. All it turned out to be was the battery. The battery was dead on it, and it had a leaky cell inside the battery box. After discovering that the problem is not the metal detector, but actually the battery, I decided to look into rebuilding this battery. So this video basically goes over the abbreviated redneck version of how to quickly get this battery box rebuilt and get you back out in the field looking for your little treasures. The batteries I pulled out of this thing is this right here. 4C batteries, just some generic Chinese-made 4C cell batteries, fused and glued into this oversized plastic box. Now, it is what it is. So it didn't take a genius to figure out, okay, well, let's go get some C batteries and jerry rig them together and just basically hot wire straight to the machine and see if I can get the machine to turn on. And by looking at them, you can see the metal contacts that connect them all, and there's like a negative, a positive, then it should be a negative and another positive. And the way they're connected together, this is in what's called a serial configuration. All right, you have serial configuration, you have parallel configuration. If I'm not mistaken, parallel configuration increases current, and serial configuration increases voltage. So I went to Ace Hardware and picked up 4C batteries, wired them up. Originally I wired them up with copper wires. I clipped the copper wires and I used Gorilla Tape and I made the contacts, tested the voltage, zero, no voltage at all, which made no sense at all to me. I was able to test one battery and it showed 1.5 volts, or I think 1.6. And with the multimeter, I could trace the electricity out of the battery, through the wire, and to the next battery, but it wouldn't show at the other end. So I was stumped. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So what I did was I took some aluminum foil, just on a complete hunch, took some aluminum foil and I folded it over and I made several little strips, about a 1/4 inch wide, maybe 3/8 inch wide, and then the length to get from one C battery to the other C battery. Attached those to the battery along with some Gorilla duct tape, and then I hit it with my multimeter. And suddenly I've got over 3 volts of electricity. So for some reason it wouldn't work with the copper wire, but it was going to work with aluminum foil. So I connected all of them in serial configuration with aluminum foil, and then I tested it, and then I got 6.39 volts of electricity. So now I'm cooking with Crisco. So I took I took the brand new batteries in the serial configuration, took copper wire to the negative end and the positive end, and run that straight up inside the battery case opening inside the White's metal detector, and I used alligator clamps. And I clamped it onto the 2 prongs that were in there and hit the power button. Metal detector turned on immediately. Operating full charge, ready to rock and roll. Okay, this is the original battery pack for the White's metal detector. There are 4 little indents on this battery pack. And there's a little spot right where you can put a screwdriver in there and apply pressure up to remove this back portion. But first, this back portion is glued in. So you need to take your really thin paring knife, something that'll slide down there in between this plastic. This plastic will give just a little bit, but you have to be careful not to do too much and wind up breaking the plastic. Slide your paring knife in there and give it a little tweak to the side, left or right, and pop that glue loose all the way around this entire box. So then you'll be able to pull this, for lack of a better word, this back door off. It's not a door because, like I said, it was glued in there. It wasn't meant to ever come out. Now you're going to have a charging port right here. We'll have 2 wires, and it'll go to the front to where the C-cell batteries are to charge the NiCad rechargeable batteries. You can either clip those off or just pull them free. Break the wires as you pull this back portion off, because you're not going to use this any longer. Now once that glue's broke free, this should come out without any major problem. And what you're going to end up with is this little back portion here, and this is your charging port that mounts in there. And as you can tell, I just broke the wires. You're going to wind up with your White C batteries are going to be in here, and they're going to be glued in there, as you can tell where the glue used to be on this thing. And what I did was I took a pretty stiff knife, thin knife, but it was a stiff bladed knife, and I ran it along the sides of these batteries and gave it a little twist and popped the glue loose. And once I got the glue popped loose, then what I did was I took this and I slammed it down on the table. Just give it a good firm slam. Try to make sure it lands level and not off at some weird angle. Slam it down like that, and the centrifugal force will cause these batteries to pop loose and come all the way down, and you'll be able to extract the batteries. And then what you'll have is an empty box. What I wound up with was 2 aluminum plates, little flexible plates. They came off of both ends of these batteries here. They were, I don't know if they were spot welded or what, but they were, from the little burr I can feel on here, I'm going to say they were probably spot welded on there. I just took a pair of needle nose pliers and twisted until I was able to pop them free and break them free from these batteries, because I wanted to reuse the little metal tabs that were connected to this, because those metal tabs actually are going to wind up being right here. I'm using the same method to remove these batteries as I did the old batteries. Stick your thumbs in there and you can kind of work the batteries out. Okay, now these are the little flat metal contacts that were on the old battery. So I basically put them onto these batteries. Now these batteries are in what's called a serial configuration, which increases the voltage. So what you have is you have a positive battery, then the next one is flipped the other direction where positive is here, then the next one the positive is here, and then this one has the positive here. So what you wind up with is a positive and a negative. And then I took these little metal plates and I taped them to the ends of the battery. Okay? The aluminum foil I tape those to the ends of the battery on the back end, and then also in the center portion so it connects. So the electricity flows in this orientation, increasing the voltage to 6.39 volts. Okay? Once you get that done, and you get these taped down good and solid, and I'm using Gorilla Tape, which seems to work really, really well. Then what you're going to do is you're going to slide this back into your battery case. I'm going to slide this in all the way. Then we should have metal plates. They're exposed, but they're not quite close enough, so we'll give this a little slam. There we go. Little metal plates are right there where the metal prongs inside the metal detector can touch them. Alright, then you take your little cap, place it on there, and you have just rebuilt this battery case. Got our metal detector. Let's see if you can see those prongs in there. We'll zoom in. Okay, there we go. There's the little prongs, metal contacts that are going to contact the battery box. Now, make sure you got the right orientation. Slide that in there. I'm going to close the back door. Looky there. It is up and running. Ready to be air tested and then ground tested. Alright, so that was a little quick instructional on how to rebuild one of those battery boxes. Wasn't a whole lot to it. Just make sure you Google some images on it and you'll be able to see how to configure those batteries in the proper sequence. Get you some Gorilla Tape and get after it. Super easy, not a difficult project at all. So anyways, I've taken a metal detector that I bought back in the 80s and now I've brought it back to life so I can now use it again. And like I said, back when I had this thing worked awesome. So I'm really tickled pink to be able to get out there again with this old metal detector and get after it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I realize this video is more for those that are more interested in the old vintage metal detectors and may have been running into this problem with these ridiculous battery boxes. So if you're not able to buy the replacement 4-volt C battery holders, that's the way they title it now, if you're not able to get one because they're out of stock, this is how you can take your original factory battery box and rebuild it without any difficulty at all. So anyways, you guys have a good day. Bye.